Hey, hope you guys are having a good time. Don't forget, you can invite friends. We can start more groups in other houses if they get too crowded, those kind of things. So, wanted to remind you of that. So, if you're seeing some of your friends on Zoom at school, you can invite them or chatting with them, that kind of thing. So, just want to encourage you to do that. Let me give you a couple other things you need to know about. Invite your friends if you're in middle school next Sunday night. We're not going to meet in houses. We're actually going to meet here at the church. We're going to have a big water war. So want to invite you to that at 6:30 next Sunday night. We're going to play some games, do hot dogs and s'mores and that kind of stuff. Um, Bring a squirt bottle, wear a white shirt, and it will get ruined. Your clothes could get wrecked. So please remember that and know that. And we're going to have a ton of fun. So I want to invite you next week to middle school break-in. It's Water Wars here at the church from 6:30 to 8:30. Lots of fun. Wear old clothes. Bring a squirt gun. Wear a white shirt. Ladies, double up. But wear a white shirt and it will get wrecked. So hopefully we'll see you next week. It's all going to be outside. So we don't have to worry about that. And we'll do our best to be socially distant, all those kind of things. So want to invite you next week to middle school break-in if you're in middle school. If you're in high school, we're going to do break-in on the 27th, which is also a Sunday. We're going to meet here at the church. We're going to go canoeing, do the putt-putt and go-karts, all that kind of stuff, hot dogs. It's $10, and that, trust me, that doesn't even barely cover cost. But you need to sign up, and the QR code is right there. So please take a couple moments, sign up if you haven't already, invite 50 of your closest friends. It's going to be outside, so canoe, you should be about 6 foot apart, so there'll be social distance there, all that kind of stuff. So those two events, I really want to encourage you to do and be ready for and join us. Also, want to say happy birthday to Stella Rose Pyle. She's going to be having her birthday on the 16th of this week. So if you know Stella, tell her happy birthday. The challenge last week, I'm sorry, didn't go very well. We had problems, so I know middle school did a relay thing, and high school you caught it in your mouth, and that's kind of disgusting. No big challenge winner. Hopefully you guys did better, and the challenge was better this week, and you accomplished it, and accomplished it quickly. So just, hey, they can all be great. So hopefully you're having a good time anyway. I want to talk to you for just a couple minutes. I don't know if you realize this or not, but they did a survey. They did study and research, and they discovered that for almost an hour of every day, we spend arguing with our families. An hour a day. Research shows that we have an average about 6 arguments a day with our family members, whether that's parents or brothers and sisters, those kind of things. And some of you are like, dude, try like 600. And they did this survey like a year and a half ago, so that was before COVID. So it's probably could be even higher. But think about that, 6 arguments with your family a day. That's an average of 42 arguments a week. And it doesn't stop there. Think about this. We argue about 180 times a month with our family, which that's over 2,000 arguments every year. That's a lot of arguing. That's a lot of kind of going back and forth and conflict. And everybody has their go-to arguing style. Some people are loud. In other words, they think they're going to win the argument simply because they're louder. It's like a decibel kind of thing. So if you can scream louder than the other person, you win the argument. Some are really good at this kind of, you kind of change the argument to make sure that you can manipulate it into something that you know you can win. Okay? So what you started arguing about, maybe not what you finished arguing about, but you do win because you kind of, some of you are kind of passive aggressive, and instead of talking about that issue or dealing with the argument, you get sarcastic or make snide remarks, that kind of stuff, or you let them think they won now, but you kind of make them pay for it later. Some go silent, whether that's physically walk away and disappear and just kind of hang on to it, or maybe you just shut up and just stare off into space, kind of go to your own place. Here's the thing. Our arguments and conflicts are always going to be around, and they're part of life. We're always have some conflict. We're always going to struggle with some of those kind of things. And it's not always bad. Sometimes we have conflicts and we argue because we need to get to a solution, a conclusion, those kind of things. But because everybody, almost nearly everybody, has something they want to fight for, or it's a subject, or maybe it's a person. In other words, you're arguing because you care about someone and you don't want them to make a bad decision. Or maybe it's because you care about an issue or a topic, so you argue, and that's kind of thing. But here's the thing: almost always, we want to win. We want to be right. And we argue and argue and argue because we want to win the argument. We win and we want to be right. But here's the reality. Sometimes, even though we win the argument, we lose the relationship. And that's a tough thing. And the Bible talks to us kind of about how to deal with that arguing thing. It's there's a verse found in James chapter 1. Now James is kind of an interesting dude. He was actually Jesus's half brother. So we know that he grew up with Jesus. We also know that kind of when Jesus was alive on the earth, James kind of wasn't a follower. He wasn't with him, didn't hang out with him. Actually, there are some kind of places in Scripture where it kind of looks like he thought he was crazy. But James, after Jesus rose from the dead, he realized, whoa, this is legit. My brother is actually the Son of God. Now, take a second to think about that one, to realize that, and how much of a bummer would it be to have Jesus as your older brother? Well, your brother. But in this book that James, Jesus' brother, writes, he gives us some really important advice and some really important kind of that will help us through this. So look at this. James chapter 1, verse 19 says this: my dear brothers and sisters. So he's talking to everybody. Okay, take note of this. Kind of write this down. This is important. Now listen, here's what he says. Everyone, that means all of us, not just half the room, not just parents, not just kids, not just brothers, but also everybody. Everyone, now listen, says this: everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. When we're talking about arguing, I don't know about you, but we live in a world that seems to argue constantly. I mean, some of you have seen it on Facebook, on Instagram, if you got Twitter, it's all over Twitter. People are just, bah! And so how do we handle that as Christians, as people who say, I want to follow Jesus? How do we handle that? So he gives us just some real simple things here. And the first is this: we need to be quick to listen. And you're like, okay, how do I be quick to listen? It's like, I can't speed listening up. And actually what really that's telling us is this: stop, listen first. Quick to listen means that's the first thing you're going to do. Before you go do anything else, and when you're involved in a conflict with somebody and you begin to argue, whether it's something important, maybe it's politics, maybe it's who is greater, LeBron James or Michael Jordan, whether it's should this happen or that happen, should you get more curfew, a later curfew, whatever it is, number one thing, first step, quick to listen. Now, when it says quick to listen, it's actually listening, not poking holes in their argument while you're listening. So I just want to let you know there's a difference between this kind of listening and listening to find the flaws in their argument, listening to just allow them to get it out so that you can kind of make your point. This is listening to understand. What are they saying? Why are they saying it? Where is this coming from? Quick to listen. Because a lot of times we don't listen to each other. We don't take the time to kind of really listen. But that's what all of us want. If I'm in a conflict with you, I want you to hear me. I want you to listen to me. I want to feel like I've been heard, and not just heard as in, yeah. Now here's my point. But you actually listen to me. And that's what we all are looking for. So when you're in a conflict with somebody, stop. Be quick to listen. Listen to what they're saying, why they're saying it. Okay? Be quick to listen. The vast majority of things change when we're quick to listen. when we don't take the initiative and speak first, but say, tell me how you feel. Why do you think that? What's going on? Be quick to listen. I know that's tough to do because usually if we're in a conflict or an argument with our parents or with our siblings or with somebody else, we want to tell them what we think. Yeah, we want them to be quick to listen. Hey, let's us be the ones, as people who follow Christ, let's us be the ones who are quick to listen. So to stop and listen. Listen and listen to understand. Not to argue, but to understand. Now, the second thing he tells us this is slow to speak. Slow to speak. That means before we just blurt out whatever, we've already now listened. Now weigh your words carefully. Measure what you say and how you say it. Think about it before you speak. I just want to let you know, I don't think I've ever regretted stopping to close my mouth and wait to say something. Usually it's exactly the opposite. I'll be in an argument and I'll say something, and sometimes as soon as I say it, I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Become slow to speak, because once those words are out there, they're never going away. Once you've said them, you've said them. It's not like, and that's one of those things where when you listen to like court shows and somebody says something and then the judge looks at the jury and says, disregard that. We all know you can't. The words are out there. So what happens a lot of times is this: we say things and a relationship is damaged, and we would love to take them back, but we can't. So be slow to speak. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. Before you say it. And the last part he talks about, become slow to anger. Slow to anger. And here's what I think is really interesting. When I take the time to listen and really understand where they're coming from, and I'm careful with what I say, generally I've discovered I don't get angry. I might get disappointed. And a lot of times my heart goes, oh, I don't agree with them. And we still kind of don't see eye to eye, but I understand where they're coming from. And I'm careful with what I say, because now that I understand where they're coming from, maybe they're hurt, maybe they're struggling, maybe they just don't understand. And so I'm slow to and so I don't get angry. And here, really the key is this: you never win an argument if you lose the friendship and the relationship. You never win an argument if you lose the relationship. I know teenagers who have lost relationship with their parents because of the arguments they have. I know siblings that don't get along anymore because they were quick to speak and never listened and got really angry. So it's okay to argue and have conflict. It's going to happen. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a kind of what they think. But are we, when we argue, are we looking to win the argument or understand our friend or our parents or our siblings because we care about them? Is winning and being right more important than that relationship? It shouldn't be. See, God loves people. We're supposed to be like him. Does that mean we don't say things are right or wrong or whatever? That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is this: we need to be quick to listen and understand, and slow to speak and slow to get angry, because we love, because we care. So here's my challenge this week. First, I want you to memorize this verse. Okay? Just memorize James 1:19. So put it on a sticky note, stick it somewhere so you can listen to it. Even if you say, I can't do the whole verse, that's too much. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Memorize that much. The next part I would encourage you to do is take a moment. So the next time you're in conflict, and it will happen, obviously, we just, at the very beginning, I told you how many times people argue, even in their family. So take a moment, take a breath, begin to listen, say a prayer, say this verse kind of in your head, and then listen. and be slow to speak. Try it out, work on it. And the last thing is this: empathize. See where they're coming from. Take the time to know where they're coming from. Hey, I hope you have a good time in your small groups. I hope you have a good conversation. Because remember, it's not okay to win the argument and lose the relationship. That's really not winning at all. Thanks, you guys. Catch you later.